Hey guys, thanks for inviting us to do this talk tonight. Pity we couldn't get there in person through circumstances, but we thought we'd still be able to prepare something at least you guys can watch a video, considering you're going to Lake Tyers and you're having your, I guess you're having a competition club down there. Same weekend that we'll be down there with the Lake Tyers Flathead Challenge. So Carl has asked us, can we talk a little bit about Lake Tyers, because a few at the club haven't actually fished it before. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the estuary system itself, and then how we go about catching flathead at Lake Tyers. By no means everything that we do is the correct, but we're just going to share some of our things that we like to do with Lake Tyers. So maybe
it is a really different system than Malakuta, isn't it?
It is.
When you go to Malakuta, you can almost guarantee you're going to catch fish. Lake Tyers can be a little bit more challenging, but it can be very rewarding as well.
It is. Like, yeah, if for instance, I know when Scott goes away, his wife always says, "Well, bring me back a bag of fillets." And Malakuta, you can get a feed. At Lake Tyers, if someone says, "Can you bring home a bag of fillets?" it's like, shivers. Let's just try and catch one first. So it can be tough, but as Scott said, it's rewarding because there is, I'd say it's fair to say it's the trophy fishery off Victoria at the moment.
Victoria, yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's starting to come right up there. The scores for the Australian Flathead Challenge, our online one, it was really successful. There's some big fish coming out of Lake Tyers with the bags. If you're willing to put the time in, it's very rewarding there. So
good scores, and we've had 4 1 metre flathead caught in our challenge. So 4,
yep.
Yeah, 4, and one of them has come from Lake Tyers, so that's not bad.
And last year we had a 97 come in as well, so it is.
And
good.
There was a 99.5.
There was, yeah, Ray Coles.
Yeah.
So
just missed it. So
they're in there. So
good fish in there.
Oh yeah. So I guess Lake Tyers itself, it's a system that when you're travelling Lake Tyers, a lot of the points, I'd say most of the points when you get travelling and come to a corner,
spit.
Yeah, they spit right out. So our advice would be to really exaggerate your turns, like around the corners. It starts off with you launch out, it starts off with a bottom lake, and so the main boat ramp you launch out, you see the main lake, and then on the, I guess the right hand side to you is a lot of flats and some nice water, which we'll talk about a bit later. But as you come out into the lake, you've got 2 choices to make, correct?
Pretty much.
You can turn left to go up the Toolaroo arm, or right to go up the Nowa arm, and the Nowa arm goes all the way up to Nowa, and that's where we're talking about when you see a point. You're virtually going up the river system, going all the way.
Yeah, those spits, they come out and there's quite shallow water if you take them too close, and especially at the moment because of all that rain. She's chocolate, she's dirty, and you won't be able to see those spits, but they are there and they're good to fish off as well.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they're great. Just approach with care, but definitely fish them as much. Obviously, we're not sure about your competition, whether it's bait and lures, but we always only fish for lures in Lake Tyers. Our competition is lure only. So I guess this talk will mainly be that how we target it. Unfortunately, at the moment though, with the Victorian slot limit between 30 and 55, it's only the size you're allowed to keep a dusky flathead. Anything over 55 has to be released. It's illegal to keep it. And as we mentioned, Lake Tyers is such a great big fishery at the moment. There's been a lot of dead fish floating on top of the surface, which is really sad to see. And you can see a little video clip that I've got here. We'll just play this for you now. It's a big fish, isn't it? That could be the meatery, bro.
It could be.
That is really disappointing to see. That is.
Jesus Christ, let's get her in that look.
That's got a push, man.
Let's get a look at her, eh? We'll get her in the back there. This is going to meter.
It does. Look at the size.
This thing's going to meter.
I think it is. Woo. That is so disappointing to see, eh? So that's sad to see such a big trophy fish that someone's probably just mishandled.
Yeah. It looked like it been a bait fish.
Yeah, it had a hook down its gullet.
Often with a bait, with a lure, they'll quite often get caught in the lip, especially big fish. It's really hard to gut hook because it's so far down. But bait, you know, a lot easier, especially if you're not watching that rod and it's just sitting in a rod holder somewhere. Unfortunate.
It happens, but I think also what's happening too, because it is illegal to keep it, and you catch a fish of a lifetime, you want to have a photo with that fish. And maybe people are leaving the fish out a little bit too long. Maybe they're having it out on the bank or on the boat far too long and not trying to get that fish back in the water quick enough. Because there's nothing wrong with taking a photo off a catch. But the idea is that we all care about is getting that fish back in the water as quick as you can.
And it's often not just having the fish out of the water. When we're doing some filming or photo stuff, we always have our live well full, and whenever we're not on camera, that fish is sitting in the live well with the full water flow going. But even on a hot day, you've got to watch if you bring the fish up and take it out of the net and stick it, and it's on your deck or your floor. You know sometimes how hot on your bare feet that deck can get. It can be scalding. Like, can you imagine the poor fish's belly hitting that deck? Even for 5 seconds, it can be really damaging to them. So got to really think about that as well.
Yeah,
hot brag mats.
Yeah, that's just what I'd say. The brag mat. What we always do, get the fish, you got it in the net, dip the brag mat into the water, put it down, so then you've just there's no hot surface for that flathead.
Sometimes keep the mat in the. If you've got a live well, just keep it in the live well with the water.
Some do.
Yep. Wet, yeah.
And then the old classic is here we have. We've got a big dusky flathead here, big female. You'll see a lot of people, unfortunately, holding them like this, or in the gill cage. Now, I don't know about you, but if someone was holding me by the mouth and hanging me down, there'd be a lot of pressure on that flathead, just going through the flathead, on its neck, on the spine. So you really want to, the famous, our photos you'll see a lot of us will do, is sort of like that. We're actually, and if we're holding them,
more glove in the hand, or glove in the mouth. Sorry, not sort of grabbing them here, but yeah, we always put a glove.
Yeah.
Glove or a towel, I've used a sock because I've not been able to find anything, but just and then supporting that weight.
Yeah, the belly. It's so important. They are so heavy. You've got to, even if you're holding it like this to take a photo, the supporting the belly is so important. You don't want pressure on that fish at all and somehow put it through a lot of stress. So it's important to do that. Now, we personally don't use lip grips on our flathead. As Scott mentioned, we both carry gloves. But if you don't have a glove and you do use a lip grip and you're a bit scared, we recommend those plastic ones. Don't use the metal ones. It pierces the flathead.
Last resort, those grips. So
yeah,
you've got a towel in the boat, maybe a pair of underwear, you can find something.
Yeah, anything. Because they are a trophy fish. When they get to this size, which Lake Tyers has, too many big fish are rocking up dead. So if you catch that fish of a lifetime, enjoy it. Take your photos. If you don't have a live well, and you still want one more happy snap, maybe put it back in the net, put it in the water. Constantly allow that fish to have water going through its gills, and people will tell you what's the right and wrong way of how to do it. End of the day, there is no right or wrong way. Our goal is, as fishermen, is to protect the flathead and get her back as quick as we possibly can. And then I guess you got to swim it, don't you? Make sure she swims.
Yeah, and probably some good advice for Lake Tyers. It's not, if you're going to fish Lake Tyers a bit, it's not a matter of if you catch a big flathead, it's when you catch a big flathead. You will get them, because if you catch 5 fish at Lake Tyers, there's a good chance one of them's going to be over 80. So when you go out Lake Tyers, always be prepared, because sometimes that can be the lost time. The fish comes in on the net, it's on the floor, you're looking for this, you're looking for camera, you're looking for everything. Be prepared, because you will eventually catch one, and if you've got everything set up ready to go, you can be as quick as possible.
That's good advice. Yeah, have your glove ready. You're virtually fishing at Lake Tyers knowing you're a chance as Scott
every touch, every touch stick sliding.
Be prepared.
There's a good chance it's that fish.
It is. So that's one thing we want to talk about now. Lake Tyers. Yes, I guess there's glide baits have really taken over. Now, when you're sitting at the water wheel having a beer after the end of the fishing day, you look across all those beautiful flats. There is so many flathead around those flats, and about not last summer, the summer before, you know, because Tyers did open, it's now closed. But when it was closed and evaporating, there was just so many places where these big flathead were hiding. And glide baits has become a really big thing today. Now, we obviously have our glide baits, and a glide bait, it's a very big bait. She casts well. You know, obviously a glide bait, it's going to do this motion. You've also got swim baits, which will have. Do you want to grab a swim bait up there? So a glide bait will be a 2-section lure. And a swim bait, well, this one here has 4 different sections. So that actually goes more like an S coming back. So glide bait or your swim bait. And all those flats, at the moment there's been some unbelievable fish caught outside and around those flats. So you'll see when you launch your boat and you look to your right hand side, you'll think, oh, that looks perfect for fishing. But I guess to cast big glide baits, you need a big rod. So what have we been doing more now? Because it's hard to throw a big lure all day.
We definitely, when we're targeting a real big fish, we'll definitely throw the big G2s.
Yep.
But you're right, if you're casting them all day, you will know about it. When you're you know, you're not as young as you used to be, and it can be quite tiring. So
so what do we do now?
We've been casting a lot. We'll get, where are they, down here?
Yep.
Get that Stanley. So we've got the G2 minis now, which are, like I say, these big boys are about 60 grams, 61 grams, and these little ones are only 19. So you can cast these on your regular rods. So we use like a Nitro Baby Viper or something like that. Just, it can even be a lighter rod than that. Just your sort of heavier style plastic rod that you might throw a 3/8 jig head on will cast this, no problems at all. And we've only had these for this summer, and it's been the best. As in how good it's been. When we first got the Malacuta,
yep,
that trip,
unbelievable.
So you can see that on YouTube. Some of the it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, some of the footage of the Malacuta trip. Every cast on certain times, it was a fisher cast. It's just they swim so well. They probably swagger about nearly a foot.
Yeah, they go. At least they sort of go side to side, and the water was. It was dirty because it had rain. It was really, really stained water. I don't know, when I was there, the current was flying out, the wind was flying, and working them so fast, but they got the rattles in them and everything, and the fish were just nailing them. It was awesome.
They've been an unbelievable bait. You know, as Scott mentioned, you can cast them with most any rod really, but they're great too for kids. Now, you know, kids don't like casting out and then just being patient. They always. Even when you bait fish with a kid, you throw out their rod, 30 seconds later, I've got one, and they wind it up all the time. But the beauty of these baits are too, they are so light, and also with the swim bait, they are so light, they can cast as well. So they can just cast and wind away. Obviously, with kids, with trebles, you'd want to think about the safety aspect with wearing glasses, but it's a really enjoyable way to fish. And when you get that initial whack on a glide bait, they don't smash the rod down. It's more just you get this tick, and you know these sort of things are very common because they do come up out of their weed to target the big. So that's
what's really good about these. So you can fish them over the weed. So when we were at Malacuta with them, it was about 2 foot, but they're great between sort of 2 feet and about 1.2 metres, even 1.5 if you let them sink a bit, and you can work them over the top of those weed edges too.
So that's like using the bigger glide baits, Probably the same thing if you're using things like double clutch, any sort of hard bodies. The crescent minnows.
Yeah.
Crescent minnows is another surface type of lure. Get that out of the box. Scott will show you that one.
So it's a bent minnow. Basically, when you cast it out, it floats on the top of the water, and you sort of flick it around. It starts and dives and might drop down a little bit. Then when you pause, it floats back up to the surface. Really popular style of lure, the bent minnow, and flatties are suckers for this.
Yeah. People like to fish these when you see like sand flats, really shallow sand flats.
You can fish these real shallow.
Yeah, but at the moment with Lake Tyers full of weed, you can sort of lift your rod up a bit and take them right across that weed. And what you'll find when you go to Lake Tyers, if you putt into the weed slowly, you will see them shoot out of the weed. You're thinking, that's where you're hiding. So we're going to concentrate on some plastics now and how you can fish some of that weed. But I guess the classic old flathead fishing, find a drop off, correct?
Yeah, so if you love to use the glide baits on the shallows, sometimes the fish are not there. Maybe they've dropped in off the banks and they're in a deeper water. So then we're going to hit them with some plastics.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
And yeah, obviously we're showing our new range of lures, but by no means we're saying you've got to have these, all the plastics. We obviously have designed, we've chosen colours that we personally love for flathead and a style of lure. I'm more of a paddle tail sort of person, and a paddle tail we mean is like having a big tail, just like so. So it's got a lot of motion in it, and in the water, you know, even when you're working really slow, they're patrolling the whole time.
Really work.
They do. They're a great size of the lure. They've got nice body there. So I prefer more paddle tails. Scott likes more of a shad, which is a stiffer lure with a bit of body. And that's why we've sort of come up with what we did I guess you might say a compromise.
Yeah.
That we've got a shad-like body which tapers in. It's still quite firm here for Scott. Scott likes to do a really big rip, and then the more I guess wiggle with your rod, the paddle tail's there as well. So, and with our colours, we've chosen colours that over the years we've really
loved.
We've loved. That's right. So we've got like a greenie called frog. This is blackberry. We've got frog belly. Which is a greeny,
real natural one. That's a great colour of tyres.
Great Lake Tyers, and then we've obviously got your standard black and gold, which everyone's got a black and gold. We call it Bitcoin. We got
another new one, the chartreuse colour. It's called Shivers Bro. And
at the moment with the dirty water, these things are fishing so well. We've also got a colour called lithium, which is your silver and black. And then we've got things like obviously the fat grubs, which might show some fat grubs here, and some worms.
Got the bright pink one here. This is on.
Yep. That was your favourite lure down at Malakoota.
Yeah, the pink one. It's funny, you know, people see the pink lures and turn away from them, but we brought this colour into our range because when we were chasing big flathead, we chased them for a long time before we started to sort of get results. And the first big fish, talking sort of like back then they were weighed, 5 kilo fish, no one measured fish back then, Troy got with a bright orange lure. So we went down, we bought all these bright orange lures and we ran the tackle shop out and we were catching heaps of fish on them. And then when we went, they'd run out, we went down and all they had was pink, and we thought, oh, the orange worked, let's go to pink. So this is kind of like, it's sort of pink but it's sort of orange. And that's why we called it Oink. It's sort of like the O from the orange and then the INK from the pink. But it's a bright colour, and there's times at Malakoota and at Tyers where just these bright colours, and this one as well, are the ones that are working. And at Malakoota this year, definitely the pink was working, and people shy away from them, don't. They really do work.
And again, on our YouTube channel, Reel It In YouTube, we have got videos using our plastics and what we like to do. And now we've also got these little like funky dudes, like a little Yabby crab bait, and we call these the Predator, after the Predator movie, the series, because they do look like a little alien. They're a great bait. So much waft in the water. All those, I guess, tentacles and all the legs vibrate and go along. So
great lure too, because you'll pick up everything that's in there. One of those things, bream,
trevally, you name it.
Trevor's.
So I guess what's important to do when you're fishing Lake Tyers, because it can be challenging. You can't come out and say, I'm just going to do glide baiting today. It may not be on. Oh, I'm just going to do some soft plastics on the edges. So we sort of recommend having a few different ideas, because when it gets tough and you think, man, they're not on the droppers, I can't get a bite, I'll go in the shallows now. So have a little bit of variety when you're fishing. Now at the moment we mentioned that Lake Tyers is full of weed. And there's nothing worse than casting to where you think's a great area, you pull your normal sight, your normal jig head, and you got weed. So obviously we'll get Scott to show you what we'll call a normal size sort of jig head, and then we'll show you what we've been using in weedy area, and it's unbelievable.
It's a 6.0.
Yep.
So on this sort of style, this sort of 100mm, we'll use a 4.0, probably a 6.0. Sometimes if you're getting a lot of hits, but they're not hooking up, often they just come in and just tentatively hitting the tails, and might use a bigger hook and try and get that hook point back a little bit deeper into the plastic. But that's just your regular style.
That is, but that's going to pick up so much weed. What we're
it's hanging out the top of the lure. Yeah.
What we've been using is product from the Jigman, which we are a distributor off these lures for the Jigman. It's called a weedless hook. It's a weedless jig head. So I'll become a bit closer to the camera. So it has this little stainless steel sprue here, which you screw into the nose off your soft plastic, and you can see there the shape of it. So your lure is going to be sitting nicely, something like this. So it sits on your lure. So as you go through the weed, it doesn't have any contact point. So we highly recommend weedless jig heads, especially in Lake Tyers. People are saying now that the mouth has closed again, it's really starting to weed up again, especially after having summer. The water's warmer. So Lake Tyers, if you're going to fish a drop off, your normal jig heads, you want to start casting to a bit shallower where you see weed and sand patches where the flathead are sitting. You really do need to have weedless gear, and you pull it through, you'll be amazed. You think, how in the hell am I swimming through that big clunk of weed? It doesn't get caught. They're a great design, and they're something we really recommend to have in your tackle box for Lake Tyers.
100%, and the fish are sitting in the weed. They often sit in structure. They're looking for hidey spots, and they will sit in the weed, and that's the only way to fish from in there. Or run if it's say a metre deep, run one of these glide baits or swim baits over the top of that weed, and they'll come out as well. Yep.
So, okay, as I said, if you were to jump onto our website, obviously we've shown our lures, but we are a distributor. We have the range of Munro soft plastics. We got the Pro Lure. Another thing you got to think about too, if things are quiet, sometimes fishermen like to chuck on scent. We're a distributor for Striker's scent. A bit of a scent, you just put a little bit onto your lure. This one smells like prawn. So it's putting something in your favour. If that flathead comes and just nibbles, it can get that taste of that scent, and then you can sometimes get a second and third hit so they come back. So we do, if fishing's going really good, you don't use scent, but when it's tough, it's when you think, what else can I put into my advantage? So you like to put on some scent.
So probably some of you guys may have not have fished Lake Tyers, but so we want to have a look at the map now, just to sort of show you some of the areas we're talking about. Now, it is going to be a little bit trickier in a couple of weeks' time. That might have cleared a bit, but it is quite dirty at the moment. So you're going to have to use your sounder. You're going to have to use Google Maps and try to see where those drains are, the little channels, the sand flats, and those spits that we're talking about. But just have a look at the map. So you notice there the bits that Troy was talking about before. So you've got those beautiful channels in around amongst there. Now they're still there. They might be slightly shallower or deeper. We haven't been there for a few weeks, so, and it changes all the time. But you will get some idea where those channels are. And that's the sort of areas, those sand flats that we're talking about, that we're getting at. Sometimes we'll jump out in the boat and get out in some of these sand flats and just wade around in knee deep water.
Unbelievable fishing.
Sort of just up touching your shorts there and casting those glide baits and those swim baits.
And the last probably 5 years while it's been shut, you haven't seen much mullet. You go to the front now outside the water where we're talking about here with these flats. There is bait fish everywhere, which is why using things like glide baits or swim baits are so effective. It's the perfect size like a mullet, and those flathead are all down there for one reason, because it's a free feed down there.
So we'll have a look at like some of the other little places that we'd like to fish. So you notice there, let's say we've tried the glide baits, have a look in some of these sort of bays. You'll see the shallow edges. Now they're very weedy at the moment, but just drop off those into 2 to 3 metres. Find the edge of that weed. Some of these bays up this narrow arm, and notice that a spit's there. I'll try have a look at that spit.
Yeah, so that's what we mentioned about the spits there. And they come out, even on the map they come out a fair bit, but under the water they come right out. So that's why we were talking about exaggerating. But if you were to anchor your boat, or you've got a spot locker or your Minn Kota and you can stop it there, you can stop on the point of that spit and just cast both sides. Cast the drop-offs, cast on top of the flats. Spits is obviously it's structure in the water. It holds fish. Find structure, you'll find the fish. They're sitting there for a reason. Flathead are an ambush predator. They're there waiting. At the moment there is no tides now, so if it was tidal, you would have outgoing tide, you'd obviously try and think yourself, well, I'm a flathead, I'll sit here when the bait run over. It's shut up again, but the spits are full of life and bait.
Yeah, and also don't be afraid, just have a look at that map again, to go up some of these arms. Blackfella arm, even the narrow arm. It might have changed. There has been a bit of fresh come down, but it's always worth a look going right up to these arms, right up high, because they hold fish as well. They just sit up there. I
think it's fair to say Lake Tyers, some people will launch down the bottom. For us, I only fish, I know Scott only fishes, we only fish the bottom lake, and we might go up a K or so up one of the arms. Where other guys that fish our comps will actually stay at now and only fish the top. They swear by those river systems right up there. So it's such a big estuary, and you just work around, you find the fish, and then eventually you'll fall in love with the place and think, this is where I caught fish. And I guess the scenery up top around Nowa is unbelievable. Going up the river, you got the cliff faces. Even if you don't catch fish, there's nothing better than being out on the water. Even better with your mates or your partner or your kids, just having a good time, enjoying nature, and keep an eye out for deer. There's a lot of deer around. We've seen a lot of deer before.
Seen emus there.
Yeah, emus. Yeah. So she's an awesome place.
Yeah. So there's some of the things to look for. You've got the sand flats for your sort of glides and swim baits. The spits are really, really critical. Don't just fly past them. They do hold fish. Some of those bays that you're not really fishing structure, but some of those bays, we've caught some really good fish out of those bays, and then it's worth going up the river, as well, like right up. So thanks so much, guys, for having us. Look, we are sorry we couldn't make it this Wednesday. We were planning to, but look, we'll see you up there, Lake Tyers, a couple of weeks' time. So we'll be up there as well. We'll be flying around in one of the boats. It'll say Reeling and Flathead Challenge, and we're up there just having basically just running our challenge, but we have a little flick around. But please feel free to come up and say hello if you're out there, and if we've found a good spot or what's working on that particular day with the rain, we'll try and help out. We always try and help out.
Yeah, we do.
Don't be shy. Come and say hello, guys.
It's one thing we've done at Reel It In, and a lot of people will keep some secret spots. Well, once you release that fish in a spot, it's not generally there. So we're very happy to help. So Scott mentioned, you need any help at all, any questions, send us a message via Messenger on Reel It In, Facebook or social media. Just and
if we can,
we'll try and give you as much as we can.
We'll obviously be busy, but if we can help out, 100% we will. So, no, thanks for having us. And
night, guys.
Yeah, don't forget, we've got the discount going on on the shop, basically the whole shop, basically. So, jump on, have a look, and grab some gear for the weekend. We'll hopefully see you up there.
See you guys. Thank you.